Hey programmers, this week I want to change it up from our usual Grand MA specific programming tasks to talk about a concept that could be applied to any show with any console, because I think it's pretty important. It's what I call a whiteout. Now, to oversimplify it, a whiteout is the opposite of a blackout. My whiteout button is a cue that takes all or most of the lights in my rig to a static position in full open white. This look is going to be stored somewhere in your console where you always have easy access to it, because one of the purposes of having this whiteout button is to very quickly get a white light lookup in an emergency situation. That situation could be anything from a temporary stop down during rehearsal to a worst case scenario when you need to evacuate your audience from the venue. For those worst case scenarios, like an active shooter, there's a healthy debate over what you should do with your lighting rig in that situation. The debate centers on whether you should turn all of your lights off or whether you should turn all of them on. And there are arguments for both sides of this debate. You should research both. I'm not here to tell you what to do in an active shooter situation, but I do recommend that you discuss it with your production security team. This whiteout button isn't just for those worst case scenarios. I like to think of it as an e-stop for my lighting rig. You could be in rehearsal and someone gets injured, or perhaps there's a failure in automation or anything else. The last thing anyone needs in those situations is some crazy ballyhooing strobing look. That's a time where you need white light and you need it fast. So you'll start by building your look, whatever you decide it needs to be. Do you want one button that bathes the stage and the audience in white light? Or perhaps you want two, one for the stage and one for the audience. Once you've created your cue, you want to store it in a place that's easily accessible and always available, and put it in the same place on all of your show files consistently. There's really no way to tell how any of us will react if we ever do find ourselves in that worst case scenario. But I do know that if my impulse is to hit that whiteout button, I don't want to have to go searching for it. On the Grand MA, I'm using what they call a fixed executor. And the concept is just that it's a cue that's available on all of my pages in the same place. Other consoles may use what they call a template concept. It's the same idea. This cue needs to not only trigger my white light look, but it also needs to ensure that no other attributes track into it. Depending on your console, this may mean setting the look as a higher priority. It may need to tell other cues to release or turn off. It may need to clear out active attributes in your programmer. It may also need to disable external triggers. Also, are you controlling video and effects? Well, those probably need to be made safe as well. The goal here is to get to that white light look without anything else affecting it and stay there. It's a simple thing to build, and if you aren't already doing this in your show files, I'd really encourage you to consider it. There's no right answer to exactly what your white light look should be, and again, I would urge you to bring your production manager and your security team into the conversation about what you should do with your lights in an emergency situation. My instinct? Light the place up. If we're trying to get the audience to make their way to the exits, I feel like that's the best way that I can help. Thanks for watching, and thank you for considering adding this to your toolbox. Don't worry, I'm going to get back to thinking about pizza and nerding out with the Grand MA like normal next week. See you then.